was so proud of myself because I finally learned to cook. You know, buy the right groceries, so there's always something in the house that I could make dinner. And you know, I'd make good dinner, and I'd be like, I got this. And now, after I ate that meal tonight, I'm like, how do I even try? I can't cook like that. So we bring it home and buy leftovers and put them in the refrigerator.
Pretty good in charge.
It was the assistant superintendent for high schools.
But he was in Greensboro for a long time, at Penn High School. He was their principal. And his father was dead. My sister. Her father was dead. And during my day, he was the treasurer of the school system.
Is it adoption?
For the entire school system?
What's your profession?
Harry Rush. He's retired.
Some people pay $200 and get something go faster. The slower you do it, on your side. And so I started doing it like that. Especially when you do it overnight.
So yours is always fully charged when you get it.
Not always. There's something like that.
I'll see you Sunday.
It has a, if you do this, go by that. So,
I was thinking about,
because everything goes all right.
we don't have one.
But it doesn't matter how many days it takes to
How long
file.
we
The matter doesn't go down unless you drive.
So are you?
And,
So that's
so if I'm on the wheels,
If I can navigate all this and not fall on my face, I've done a good job. We welcome you tonight to our Diggs Latham night. It's not like we used to have our Diggs Latham celebration where the families came and we saw lots of things and had homemade soup. Maybe we'll get there next year. Maybe we'll be over most of the pandemic. But I am excited tonight to introduce to you the leadership at Diggs Latham. I'm still in contact with Dr. Dobson from time to time, and on the next Monday, we will be taking bagels for breakfast for the teachers. Dr. Dobson is trying to do a good deed once a month for them. So welcome, we welcome you. Dr. Dobson, Cassandra Dobson, has been at Diggs Latham. This is her second year. Her first year was a virtual education, and it was a challenge, and there's still challenges at Diggs Latham. But it's a wonderful place to go, and I keep asking when we can come back, and she says, not quite yet. But Dr. Cassandra Dobson is going to share with us Diggs Latham. As I said, she's been there at 2 years now. We have been in partnership since 2011 with them. As I was reading over her vitae, I noticed that she was an assistant principal at Ibrahim, which is in the northeastern part of the county, which is where I started my teaching career many years ago. And Mr. Ibrahim, who was on the school board, was still living at that time. And she was also an assistant principal at Conoke Elementary. And prior to that, she had done teaching in the classroom in her native county of Caswell County also. She's a graduate of UNCG with her Bachelor of Arts, her Master's from Winston-Salem State University. And I'm just going to put a plug in for them right now. I was here yesterday out on the square celebrating these women I was telling you about, coming 500 miles walking, and they were led into the square with the drum corps from Winston-Salem State. You could hear them from way up there, so that was very special. Then her doctorate of education she got through Gardner-Webb. The Dobsons live in Pinnacle. They have 5 children and 8 grandchildren. I asked Mr. Dobson if he was retired and enjoying Pinnacle, and she said sometimes he's retired, so I don't know what that all means. And she will introduce her assistant to us. We welcome you to Moravian Church. Education is very important to Moravians, and it's important that our children in our community are receiving the finest. And we do thank you, and we thank your teachers for that. So please, Margaret's gonna, everything's taped down up here.
I won't mess it up, I promise. So I am reminding you all that this is a fundraiser for Diggs Latham. Checks are welcome. This is a ministry of Moravian Church. If you're at home, there is on the homemoravian.org website, if you scroll down, there's a big green Give Now button, and putting in the memo line for either checks or for donating online, Diggs Latham or D-L would work well. Thank you very much.
Well, good evening, everyone. And thank you all so much for having Diggs Latham here with you all today. And thank you for partnering with us for as long as you all have. I am Dr. Cassandra Dobson, and I just want to share a little bit about Diggs Latham with you all. And I hope I don't mess up her technology here. I am going to put this in presentation mode so that we can see the slide there. And as I said, we are an A+ magnet school here in the West Salem community. So we're literally just right around the corner from you all. We GPSed coming to home Moravian just so we would be here on time and everything. And it was like 5 minutes. It literally is around the corner. So thank you all for having us and being a partner with us. This is what our campus looked like. If you haven't had an opportunity to come out and take a look at it, it is a beautiful campus with beautiful people inside, both adults and children. I am, as I said, Dr. Cassandra Dobson. I am the principal there at Diggs Latham Elementary. This is my second year. I sometimes like to say my 1.5 years because, of course, I started during COVID. And it's been interesting, and it's still interesting. Our slogan for this year for our school is Be the Difference, because we want to be the difference for our students and for our families, and we appreciate you all being the difference with us for our families. That's me and Taz. You know, Taz is our tiger who represents all of our fun with our children. We are what we call Tiger Nation. And so that's me and Taz during open day. This is the wonderful Miss Anna Ortiz. She is the assistant principal there at Diggs Latham with me, and we're pretty much there for the same length of time. 2 years for her. She started in December of 2019, and of course, right after that, we all know what happened with COVID, so she didn't get to spend a lot of time in the school before we were there together. Mrs. Ortiz is my right hand, my left hand sometimes, my right foot, all of those wonderful things. Her importance there in the school cannot be understated, and you will understand a little better why when I go to the next slide and tell you a little bit more about our school community of Diggs Latham. Mrs. Ortiz, give us a wave. So who are we? Who are the Diggs Latham Tigers? We are a Title I Inspire 340 school. Title I, of course, everyone probably knows what that means, and that's based on our socioeconomic status and the fact that the majority of our students are free and reduced lunch. Inspire 340 is a network of schools that is working to transcend and to remove some of the barriers that our children face every day to try to make sure that they have a quality education. There are 14 schools in the Inspire 340 network, and we're one of them. We're also an arts magnet school, as you know. We are a performing arts school, and we do have dance, music, art, PE, drama, orchestra, all of those arts there at our school. And we're also a dual language immersion school. That's something some people don't know about our school. We are a dual language immersion school, and what that means is for every one of our classrooms, say for instance, in our kindergarten grade span, we have 4 classrooms. One of those teachers is a dual language immersion teacher. That means all of her students in that classroom are native Spanish speakers, and she's a native Spanish speaker as well, and they learn mostly in Spanish. And as we continue throughout the grade span, we go from teaching 100% in Spanish, 90%, 80, 75, on up through 5th grade. We teach about 50-50, so we're also a dual language immersion school. Our staff, we have about 75 staff members on our teaching staff and our teacher assistants, not including our cafeteria staff, so we're a pretty large staff. And we have 458 students as of today. Tomorrow it may change because it's ever changing, but we have 458 beautiful children, 242 female children, 216 males. We're 45% Hispanic, 40% African American, 8% white, and 6% other or multiracial. That's our makeup of our student body. So just to share a little bit about how our year has gone so far, it has been a little different due to COVID and all of the restrictions that we have in place. But we have been trying at Diggs Latham, the teachers have been working really hard to try to keep some normalcy for our students. And that means making sure that they have some of the same things that they had prior to COVID, but just in safer ways and safer manners. So this is Mrs. Ortiz and I just kind of jump-starting the school year with our students. Of course, there's the art picture of myself at the county fair with some of the beautiful artwork that Mrs. Amanda Gordon has created with our students, and then some students there at the bottom representing Hispanic Heritage Night, which we will talk a little bit more about. So as I stated, we are trying to do some of the same things that we've done in the past, open house with our students and our families and just trying to stay safe, welcoming back our staff because it's also so very important that we take care of our teachers as well as our students and their social emotional learning as well. So doing our welcome back for our staff for 2021. And I want you to just meet some of the wonderful teachers that you all will be helping to support throughout the rest of this school year. I will try to keep it somewhat short, but I do want you to be able to put a picture, a face to the person that you may be helping, that you may be supporting throughout the year. So I want to tell you a little bit about who we are as a staff. This is our office staff here, and of course we know our office staff is the backbone of what we do. With all of these people, nothing really happens in school if they're not there carrying out their jobs. So this is our wonderful office staff, and we do have a parent assistant that assists our parents and our families to try to make that connection between school and home. We do have what we call a CARES team. We are lucky, blessed, all of those wonderful things to have a full-time nurse at our school and a full-time social worker at our school as part of our CFST team, our Child Family Support Team. And so they're there full-time every day helping to support our students with medical needs as well as social emotional learning. We also, of course, have a full-time school counselor. And that is truly a blessing to have those people as wraparound services to support our students and our staff as well. And then we have our support staff, and these employees help to make sure that all of the links in between are running. We have our AG teachers, our EC staff, our media coordinator. We have a brand new media coordinator this year, and he's been doing an awesome job. He's new to school media. He has been in the public library for the last 8 years, so he is learning school. He knows all about books, but he's learning about school and how school functions. And then we have an instructional technologist, because as we know, in schools now, a lot is happening with technology. And so she helps to make sure that we have all of our technology functioning for our students and our staff. As I said, we are a pre-K through 5th grade school, so we do have pre-kindergarten there. We have 2 classrooms of pre-K students that are 4 years old, and so that's their, of course, beginning before kinder, and this is our pre-K staff, awesome staff. And our kindergarten and 1st grade team. We have 4 teachers on each grade level, except for 1 grade level, 3rd grade. We have 3 teachers there, but this is our 1st and kindergarten team, and teacher assistants who work with the students and the team as well. We're also doing something different this year that we're putting in place and helping to support our students, and that is we have multi-classroom leaders for our K1, 2, 3, and 4, 5 grade levels. These teachers work with other teachers to support them instructionally, as well as work with the students academically, so that we can try to close some of our academic gaps that we had even prior to COVID, but with COVID and the lesson and learning loss that has occurred, those gaps, of course, have widened. So we're putting some things in place to try to close some of those gaps for our students academically. This is our second and third grade team, and once again, we do have a 2-3 multi-classroom leader who helps to support all the rest of the teachers there, along with students, and she teaches as well. This particular multi-classroom leader actually has a classroom and she supports other teachers. Our fourth and fifth grade team, made up of 8 teachers, 4 fourth grade and 4 fifth grade. And then what we also have this year is we have started to work with what we call a Reach Associate, and that Reach Associate helps to work with the multi-classroom leader and some of our larger classrooms so that she can work with small groups of students so that we can make a better impact on those students' learning. And then, of course, we have our specialist arts team. And our arts team, as being a magnet school, helps to really make sure that our school flows, that our children get to learn with engaging lessons. And you're going to see a little bit about that a little later. But this is our wonderful specialist arts team. A big shout out to Mrs. Amanda Gordon. She is our A+ magnet coordinator. So she does make sure that things such as this wonderful PowerPoint happens so that I can go and present wherever we need to. The Magnet Fair is coming up November 6th from 10 to 2. If you just have nothing else that you're doing that afternoon, come on out and watch some of the performances by our children as well as some of the other children in the district. We have an awesome ESL team. As I said, we're about 45% Spanish-speaking Hispanic students, and so we need a team that can support those unique needs of our students that speak a second language, and that is what our ESL team does for us. Sometimes they pull out students and work with them in small group, and at other times they push into a classroom and support students that way, because we do have a gap between our learning between our white students and our Hispanic students and our African American students. So we're trying to close those gaps by making sure that all of our wonderful teachers are working intensely with our students to close those gaps. And of course, we are a school that has special education. Every school does. Our special education team is unique in some ways in that we do have a deaf and hard of hearing classes. We have 2 deaf and hard of hearing classes. We have a K2 students, and then we have 3-5 students. And those students may have cochlear implants, they may have hearing aids, and they range anywhere from small hearing loss to profound hearing loss. So we do have deaf and hard of hearing teachers that work extremely hard to make sure that our students are getting a great education there as well. And then we have 3-5 deaf and hard of hearing classes, and these students are in the regular classroom, and this teacher goes into the classroom and support their unique needs. And we also have a MAP Core, or functional curriculum classroom, and those are our students who may have multiple abilities. It's a multiple abilities program, and we may have students that have profound learning loss there as well. And so those students range from kindergarten to 5th grade, all in the same classroom. And then, of course, we have an EC resource teacher. All of these special education teachers have unique strategies that they use to try to close the gaps and make sure that our students receive that education so they can access the general curriculum and get the best education possible for all students. And of course, along with our EC teams, we have instructional assistants and we have language facilitators. Our language facilitators work along with our deaf and hard of hearing teachers so that they will go into a classroom with a child and they make sure that that child can access their curriculum and their learning while they're in that regular ed classroom. They're uniquely trained to listen for and to break down the things that students need to have broken down so that they can access that curriculum and learn as well. And you all let me know if you have any questions where I'm going, or we can ask questions afterwards. So we're trying, of course, as I said, to keep some of our regular traditions with a few adjustments so that we can maintain our students' and staff safety. And as a very diverse school community, it is important that we celebrate each other's differences as those differences is what make us unique and make us special, and it makes us a school family. So I just want to share a few things that the teachers have been working on with our students since the beginning of school. For instance, coming up next, you're going to see a little bit about our Hispanic Heritage Month, which is this month. We celebrated last month with singing, dancing. We had visitors, we had speakers to come out and work with our students because it's so very important, and our teachers recognize how important it is to make sure that every child in the school building feel like they belong there in the school building. So we have celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month this past month, and right now we are celebrating anti-bullying, anti-drugs, anti-alcohol, and so this is our Red Ribbon Week this week. And so it's a spirit week for us, and so the teachers are having our children, and us as well, dress in particular ways or have particular sayings that we're talking about so that they can have that courage to just say no, because they're not too young to get caught up in things that they shouldn't be in as elementary students. So we're making sure that our students, we try to provide that wraparound service for them so that they're protected as much as possible when they're there in the school building with us. Of course, as an arts magnet school, we have done some arts integration professional development earlier in the year so that not only are our children learning with lots of engagement, but that our staff is doing so as well. Because we all know the children are going to bring the energy into the classroom. We as the adults need to make sure that we have that energy as well. We got to keep up with them, right? So just want to share just a few snippets of a couple of videos that our teachers have been working with our students with academic arts integration, and these are some of the successes that we have experienced so far this year. I won't play every clip to its fullest because I don't want to run over my time, but I do want to just share with you all some of, let's see if you can hear it. So I'm not sure how much you can hear, but what that is in an arts integration science lesson taught in conjunction with the classroom teacher and the arts specialist, and that is our new dance teacher. And what our teachers are doing now, they're working very hard because we know right now it's a little difficult to keep our children engaged and focused on learning with all of the other things we have to compete with. So our teachers are working very hard to make sure that our students have those opportunities. This is a music and math lesson. I'll do just a quick snippet there. So those are just a few of the lessons that our students have been doing, and our teachers these are our specialist teachers pushing into the regular ed classroom to give our students that extra boost and that extra excitement about learning. This is our PE teacher, and he was teaching all about health and fruits and grapes, and so he would call on the different types of food groups, and then they would do different types of activities based on the food groups that were called upon. So as you all may know, school has changed some since we were all in school, where you just go and you sit in your desk and you have your paper in front of you and you fill out your worksheets and you go and you write on the board. It has to be a lot more engaging and interactive now to keep our students focused, learning, and moving to the next step. So those are some of our successes that we've had so far this year. Some of our challenges that we're continuing to work on and striving to overcome the barriers so that our students' success and working to be the difference for our families is number one is keeping our children safe and healthy so that they can remain in school learning. Because when they're not there, it's difficult to make the learning happen for them in the way that it should. One of the other things that we're really focused on this year is supporting social and emotional needs of both our students and our staff. That's very important for us right now. With COVID and them being out so long, students have experienced different traumas, and those traumas come with them into the classroom, along with the adults in the building. So it's very important that we focus on our social and emotional learning as well. One of the other barriers is equal access to technology for all of our students. The district has done a great job with that. Now that we've done one-to-one Chromebooks for students, so that when we do have those remote days and they're at home, they have a Chromebook or they have something to learn on so that they can still access their curriculum. And one of the big goals for us this year is we're trying to reestablish a functioning PTA and parent involvement. One of the things that did happen when COVID hit and we kind of shut down, we lost the parent engagement and the parent involvement that we did have and that we were building and getting our steam up. And so we're back to trying to help our parents not necessarily come back into the building, but be involved in their children's academic success. So we're trying to reestablish our PTA. We currently do not have one. And the final barrier is equal access to at-home libraries for our students, making sure that our students have books at home so that they can continue their learning and continue reading at home. Because as we say every morning on our announcements, when we are always reading, we are always learning. And being a school that has literacy gaps right now, that's very important for our students to have access to books and to reading every day. So finally, or not finally, I just want to say a huge thank you to our home Moravian church family for your long-standing support of students and staff. Just as Mally said, I know that you all have been a part of Diggs Latham since 2011, and I know that because I was a part of Diggs Latham in 2011. I started my administrative internship at Diggs Latham along with Donna Cannon in 2011, so that was the first year that I was there, and I can recall Home Moravian joining and beginning that partnership with us. So I've come full circle, and you all are still here, so thank you for that. We could not do what we do for our students, our staff, without great community support like yours. So we truly appreciate all that you do for us here at Diggs Latham Elementary School. And we thank you for being the difference for us, our families, our teachers especially. They definitely need some wraparound and love and support right now because they've been through a lot as well. And just a final picture of some past celebrations that we've had with Home Moravian Church for past years, as well as soon as or as frequent as last year. So we thank you all for your support. We know that you all will continue to support our teachers there and our staff, as well as our children at Diggs Latham. Are there any questions? Yes, sir. So that is one that we are trying to work on right now. Absolutely. Thank you. So he wants to know how the at-home libraries work. Where will the books come from? Can they be donated? Will the children be able to take the books home and keep them? So the answer to that is we're beginning that process right now. I will give just a little back history. Title I schools, just as recently as about 2 weeks ago, we received some carryover fund money that we did not spend last year in COVID. So we're using some of that carryover fund money to purchase at-home libraries for students. And for us, what it will look like is purchasing books that for kindergartners are on a kindergarten level and getting maybe 5 to 10, if we could just start each child out with 5 to 10 books that they can take home, they can leave at home, it's for them to read at home, it's for them to have forever and ever, amen. We do have some books in our library that we discard, once they go out of circulation. So those are some of the books that we will try to use for those take-home libraries. We will try to purchase some. We always welcome donations. Of course, anytime books are donated to us, we do have to go through them and make sure that they're, appropriate and okay for students to take home. And so that's the process. That's what we're starting right now. Any other questions? Yes. Yes, sir. That is still very much true. As I said, we have 458 students today. Tomorrow, we may still have 458 students, but they may be different 458 students. Our population is transient, so we do have students that transfer in and out all year long. I think last year we had one right up until the last week of school. So we do have a transient population of students. One of the other reasons why we have a transient population is we are a magnet school. So parents can opt to bring their children, to our magnet school, and they have to provide their own transportation. Well, when transportation gets tough for them, then they will re-enroll them in their residential schools. So we may have even more of a transient population due to that. And yes, we are still held responsible for that data based on the amount of days that they spend in our school building with us.
Folks sitting in the audience may not know this, prior to the merger of the two schools, one of the schools there had a mobility rate of over 100% during the year.
Wow.
100% of kids coming in and out, which is huge, and it's really an added burden on the staff trying to keep up with that, remediate kids, catch them up when they move. When they come in, they're not in the same place.
Absolutely.
Can you tell who used to work for Winston-Salem?
Absolutely, I can. And having worked for Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools since 2000 myself, I do know that to be absolutely true. Students are very transient, and some of the things that the district has gotten, I would say, wiser to, is making sure that all schools have a set curriculum for all schools. If you are aware, of Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools, you may have some schools that could pick and choose their books and their curriculum, and then you had some schools that were mandated to use certain curriculums. Well, now all schools use Wonders for our ELA curriculum, and we are all using Envisions for our math curriculum. And the purpose in that is so that when our students are transient and they do go to other schools, the pacing guide should be the same, and that curriculum should be the same to decrease some of those gaps that our students are experiencing from school to school.
I may have missed part of what you said. Does the system now have a unified elementary reading program?
We do. Yes, sir.
Not
Absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. You're correct. But now we do have one unified reading curriculum for K-5 elementary schools. Other questions? Yes.
How would you describe the effect COVID has had on children's movement, on their academic progress?
So definitely those gaps have widened. As I stated, our students have always had gaps in our school, but the COVID and that learning loss has definitely widened the gaps, and we're seeing that with some of our assessments that we're doing. When were not taught that standard the year before because the school shut down, then teachers are having to try to go back and teach the standard that they missed as well as the current standard that's there. And for some of our students, it's difficult enough just to learn the one that I need to learn for that year, but to try to double up and learn both is challenging for both the students and the staff. So it definitely has had a huge impact on our students and their learning loss and their gaps. And so that's why I spoke about all of the different intentional processes that we have in place at Diggs Latham and the support from the adults to try to close those gaps as quickly as possible. Yes?
Throughout our partnership, we've done lots of different things. Is there a need that you have we may not be aware of that we could help with?
So I think the biggest need is a need that we're trying to get qualified, highly qualified teachers, tutors, instructors into the building to actually work with those students that have that intense need. It's always great when we can ask our partners for books because that directly impacts students' learning. It's also great when we can ask our partners to support our teachers in a way such that when the teachers are not as tired or not as burnt out, they give their best or they give better to to student instruction. And that's human capital. So the biggest impact for our students right now is truly human capital. Can we have those quality people that can come in and work with children intensely to try to close that gap? I don't know that there's a need that we have right now that you all are not aware of, other than the at-home libraries. We're trying to build that so that we can help our students with reading. But physical things, our students will always have the need for like gloves, hats, those types of things. But those are what I call physical temporary things. What we really need is people working with our children and helping them to feel successful. Because what we do know when we talk about building self-esteem for students, children's self-esteem is built when I feel like I'm just as smart as the child sitting next to me. That's when I really have a high self-esteem, because I can do what the child sitting next to me can do. So that is our biggest need, is human capital and working with our children to kind of close those gaps. And I know it's tough for you all to get in the building right now, because trust me, Mally has been asking, can we come in there and help? Can we come in there and support? And so I'm waiting for the day as well when we can get in a little bit more and work intensely with our children. Great question. Yes.
What after-school and summer enrichment opportunities are available for students in the Diggs-Latham community?
It's funny that you should ask. So he wants to know about the after-school opportunities and enrichment opportunities for our students currently. We will be starting our extended learning program for our students November 8th. We are asking for tutors. If you want a tutor, apply. Our children will be there from 3 till about 5:30, and during that time, there will be some academics. There will also be enrichment opportunities for them there, and there will be social emotional learning and teaching for them. So we will start that November 8th, and that will run through the end of May for us. Yes.
And how persons who are interested in becoming a part of that, how do they sign up, or how do they gather more information about that?
Well, I guess one of the first things, you'd have to be an adult and able to do that after school. Are you? Yes? Okay. Then we will get your email and we will send you the link for you to apply if you're interested. So we can put on our PowerPoint slide, we can add that link there, and if this is going to go somewhere on your Facebook page or wherever, we can also put it is on our web page. There for applications to apply for support that way. So yes, awesome. Great question. I've got one. Anyone else want a tutor? Madeline has already said she does not want a tutor, so I understand. Any other questions? No? Well, we thank you all so much for having us here tonight, and we thank you all again for the support that you all give for our teachers. As we think about our students and our teachers coming up on the holidays, we know that this time of the year is also tough for both our families and our children, as well as our families, our adult families. We are working diligently, as Mally said, to try to give just a little bit of love and support to our teachers each month, so that they feel the appreciation, but also so that they can go just a little bit more to help those students who need it a little bit more. So we thank you all for your support and for working with us at Diggs Latham. And we're looking forward to the time where we could see you actually back into our buildings.
I asked her if we could start coming because we have had people who have gone and have worked individually. And she said, not yet. So I think.
Not yet. We are, I do believe, once children 5 to, our age children, who are none of our children, of course, as you know, are vaccinated. I do believe once that began to happen and, we can get crowd immunity, that we will open the doors a little bit more to allowing people into the building. But it's for, of course, their safety as well as you all's safety, adult safety. So as soon as you can, I promise you, I'll let you know, Mally. Okay. Absolutely. Thank you all.
So again, Home Moravian helps in many ways, and one is financial. So we, at the bottom of the homepage for homemoravian.org, there's a Give Now button, and just put Diggs Latham in the memo or a check. And also, we look forward to knowing when we can come back to the building. Thank you very much. And next week, we look forward to hearing from some missionaries who it is going to be a live-only event, in-person-only event, to be able to hear what it's like in a place where it's hard to be a Christian. Thank you all.